getting into distorting objects, distorting and transforming. Basically, any transformation, pretty much just about any change to an object is technically a transformation, right? So if we're doing this, moving this object from here to here is technically a transformation, because you're changing the X and Y axis, the vector of where this object lies on the artboard, right? So that's a transformation. Other transformations include rotating, scaling, reflecting, shearing, free transforming, even this, transforming. That would be free transforming. We'll go through some of the simple ones, like rotating. The rotate tool, we've worked with it a little bit before, but the rotate tool allows you to, right here, rotate, allows you to rotate an object, surprise, with any of these tools here. I always check preview. If you double click on the rotate, you can actually put in your precise degrees of what you want to rotate your object here, and then you can hit OK, and that creates a transformation, right? Or what we're going to be doing a bunch this chapter, you can hit copy, and I know we did this once before for our for an earlier assignment, where we're going to be doing similar things. We're going to be adding some elements to it. So if you hit copy, now it leaves the original and then creates the copy rotated. What you can do, oops, to get some more complex rotations, I guess, for lack of a better word, you have here's your axis for where something is going to rotate. What you can do is you can set that pretty much anywhere. What we're going to do is we're going to set our rotate anchor to be right in the middle of this like clock face. So now if we hit rotate, and I forget what the actual degree is it 30? Yeah, there it is. So 30, and we'll hit, oops, as I just did the wrong thing. Supposed to hit Alt. So you hit Alt, because if you don't hit, or Option, if you don't hit, there we go. If you don't hit that Alt, what it does is it just rotated. You didn't really see it, but it'll just rotate the object, like it'll spin the object, not rotate around an object. So you have to make sure, and this is in the assignment as well, but you have to make sure that you hit that Option and then click in the center, and now you can see it's moving it around your axis point here. So let's go back to 30. I'm going to hit Tab, and then we're going to hit Copy, and then you can see it did our awesome, left it the original there. I made the copy here, and then because this was a transformation, we can go to Transform Again, or Command D, which I do all the time, and that basically just repeats the last transformation that you did, so that you don't have to worry about clicking this one, click in the center, Alt, type in 30. It just repeats whatever transformation was last done. And then you can do, again, the same thing. Same thing with this clock handle here. Here we're going to set our axis point there, 30. We're going to hit Copy, and then Command D or transform again. And then we have our cool, fun clock hands, all that fun stuff. And we're going to do that with that little black mark that was here. They're also going to have you arrange, so you're going to either send those to the back or bring this to the front. So it sort of hides that overlapping mess there, and we're making this kind of funky 70s clock. So that is the the rotate copy function. Reflect I'll go into too. Other transformations, and again, these are pretty simple transformations, is shearing. And shearing basically, shearing is under our scale tool. And basically what shearing allows you to do, again, when we double click, we have all sorts of options. So what shearing allows you to do is, if you set your shear angle, it distorts an object. We'll go about 30. I always have trouble explaining a shear, but like you're seeing it. It's not quite like creating sort of like an italicized sort of, but it allows you to, yeah, a lot of times people use this for like creating shadows. There's lots of other reasons to use this, but it basically allows you to, I'm trying to say it without saying shear, using the word in the definition, but it allows you to shear an angle to whatever graphic you're applying it to. You can do this horizontally, vertically. You can do it at a specific angle. Right now we're going to go horizontal. And then again, as always, the preview is on. And then I'm just going to hit copy on this. And again, it leaves our original. And then we have, this is a little bit off, but you get the general idea. If we kind of throw that, we can throw this in the back actually. So it allows you to sort of simply create shadows. You can go a lot more with it to get that to look like it's laying down more of a shadow. If you want to, there we go. If you want to adjust, oh, it's not going to let me. Let's go back into our shear here. And you can go even more with this. You know, we'll go a little overboard just to do it. And we're going to hit OK. And then this was a little bit overboard, but you get the idea. So you can create this sort of like pitching shadows. Again, another way, when we were working with the gradients before, sort of another way to sort of simply show perspective or show dimensions, dimensions with flat objects, flat vector objects. Another one specifically, for, I know we talked about joining open paths, right? Like we have our open path here, right? Something that we can do, that I do a lot, is creating symmetrical artwork, right? So you have this like pepper shaker or pepper grinder or whatever shape. And instead of trying to draw this exactly on both sides, what you can do is you can reflect it. You draw one and you reflect it, and it essentially flips it. And then you know you have two sides that are perfectly symmetrical, and then you can join the two open endpoints to create a closed path, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to get to our reflect tool, which is under, I always do that, which is under the rotate tool, And again, double click to bring up our options. And then we're going to do a vertical reflect. So we just kind of want to flip it. And then we're going to hit copy. And then you can kind of move this to give or take where you want it. So now we still have two open paths, right? And we want to create a closed path. So here is an extra step. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use my direct selection tool. Oops. And I'm just going to drag in a free space here. And I'm going to drag over both of these. It looks like one, but both of these open endpoints here. And I'm going to go under Object, Path, and I'm going to average these 2 points together so that I know they're basically like lined up. And then here's where my stuff is popping up on my other monitor. So what we're going to do is I'm going to average both the horizontal and the vertical so they sort of will line up. And we'll hit OK, and we may or may not notice much of a difference. Not really, we'll notice more at the bottom. And then what we're going to do is under Path, we're going to join these two paths together, or Command J. And now you'll see there's just one single point there for the top of our pepper mill. And you'll see that average comes in super handy when we're doing stuff like this. So you see the average, oops, I had that selected so it went back up. I should just scroll, there we go. You'll see this average work a lot more as these 2 points are so far apart. So we'll grab these 2 points. We are going to go to Object, Path, Average, and we're going to do both the horizontal and vertical, and then they should meet. And it changes your line a touch. You saw that it changed. I'll undo that. You see that it changes this curve just slightly, but not really enough to care too much about it. And then we're going to go to Join. And now again you'll see you have one point as it joined the 2 points together. And now we have our perfectly symmetrical object that is a closed path using the Reflect tool and the joining paths to create this convert this closed shape or open shape into a closed shape that's now perfectly symmetrical, so you don't have to worry about drawing those two sides twice and getting it right exactly 2 times. And then lastly, perspective. I always forget where it is. There it is. It's always under something odd, like I have no idea what the Puppet Warp tool is, to tell you the truth. So under our Puppet Warp tool, this looks like a little push pin, is our Free Transform tool. And you can see it brings up a tiny palette with some options: Perspective Distort, Free Distort, or Free Transform, which you'll see works. The Free Transform works similarly to hovering over the corners when you're just on your selection tool, but it also allows you to scale, rotate, and scale. But what we're going to use is Perspective Distort. And what this allows you to do is when you grab an object by the corner, you'll see you can change the perspective, the horizontal, and or the vertical perspective just by dragging in or out, up or down. So in this case, I'm just kind of dragging in, and it's keeping all of the other transformations, perspective transformations that we did, and you can drag. Right now I'm just pulling way out from the corner, and it's bringing it to the front. So the assignment, the exercise that deals with this, oops, and then you can see once you get multiple transformations on top of multiple transformations, oops, I didn't want to rotate it, it gets a little bit funkier and funkier, but you get the general idea. So this exercise will sort of walk us through doing a few of these transformations. What it will do as well, it seems a little goofy, but what it'll also do, it'll walk you through a couple, so it'll say, you know, drag your corner in a little bit and blah, 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 and then I'll have you undo it. And then, so it's going to show you, it's going to walk you through doing a couple of these and then undoing it and sort of reapplying a new perspective transformation. But you can see, again, you can create simple perspective transformations. I'm going to go back a whole bunch. There we go. So you can create like a simple perspective transformation if you wanted to. I'm going to grab the left and make it a little bit bigger. You know, if you wanted to create something that looked like it was going back into the distance. Makes a little bit more sense when you have, you know, there's another example that the book uses where they have two illustrated like city streets, neighborhood streets. You can kind of make the streets look like they're going back. You can get more advanced, like when I had that perspective grid pop open, you can bring up a perspective grid and really get, you know, a little bit more scientific with it and more accurate with it. But for the sake of introing this and just starting to play around with it, we're going to start with our simple, and again, under our, if it's not visible, under our puppet warp tool is the free transform tool. So under that little push pin, and again, you know, playing around with this. And basically what it does is it warps, it essentially kind of warps the object and distorts your nice rectangle, basically to, I mean, it's pretty much just not quite a triangle, but all it does is really reshapes the object to make it look a little bit three-dimensional, kind of like shearing and making it look like it's pitching a shadow. Like the object by itself obviously is just this kind of flat, kind of triangular shape, but then once you put it with other shapes, you can sort of create some perspective and create some depth in a simple way using the free transform, or rather the perspective transform tool as part of the transform, part of the transform tool options.